deep in the forest of Serra Negra, where the moon barely dared to cast its silver glow. There were stories about a wolf that did not belong to the realm of the living. Its name was never spoken aloud, for those who did ended up becoming part of the cold, damp earth before dawn. One night, Jonas, a young hunter, decided to defy the whispers and follow the trail of footprints. No one dared to touch. Armed with his rifle and an almost reckless courage, he ventured into the heart of the forest. The path was winding, surrounded by gnarled trees whose roots stretched like skeletal fingers. The silence was absolute, except for the occasional sound of leaves crushed by unseen footsteps. Then he saw them, two blazing embers hovering in the darkness, eyes that did not belong to any creature of this world. The wolf was larger than any animal Jonas had ever hunted. Its black fur absorbed all light around it, as if it were a living shadow, and its teeth, sharp as blades, glimmered among the forest debris. When Jonas raised his rifle, the creature vanished. But its cold breath still lingered in the air. The young man turned, feeling something crawling beneath his skin. He was no longer alone. Time distorted, the ground opened up, the moon was extinguished, and Jonas, once strong and daring, was never seen again. Some say his soul now roams Serra Negra, doomed to follow the wolf's footsteps without ever catching up to it. The biting wind howled through the trees of Serra Negra, carrying ancient whispers that twisted through the branches like invisible specters. The moon, once hidden, finally emerged through the clouds, revealing a terrible truth. There was not just one wolf, there were many, and all of them were moving shadows. Jonas felt the weight of the night crushing his back, the scent of damp earth mixed with the stench of something rotten and forgotten. He ran in any direction, away, but the ground beneath his feet stretched infinitely, as if the forest refused to let him go. His rifle, a promise of safety, now trembled in his hands. Every shot was swallowed by the void before it could reach its target, and the eyes of those sinister embers still watched him, multiplying among the bushes, among the shadows, among the erratic beats of his heart. Jonas stumbled, falling onto wet leaves and broken branches. The scent of blood filled his nostrils before he even noticed the wound on his leg. But it wasn't the blood that worried him. It was the silence, the lead wolf larger, more monstrous than the others approached. Its black fur absorbed all light around it, making it impossible to distinguish the boundaries between creature and darkness. The young man wanted to scream, wanted to fight, wanted to wake up, but the forest had already taken his voice. No one knew what happened that night. Only the whisper of the wind and the footprints that vanished without a trace remained. And ever since then, when the full moon touches the treetops, they say new footprints appear, but they do not belong to a man. The darkness of Serra Negra seemed denser than ever. The air was cold, steeped in the metallic scent of fear. Jonas, lost among the twisted branches of the forest, realized he could no longer trust his own vision. The wolf's eyes glowed in every corner, but he never knew where the attack would come from. Suddenly, a sound cut through the silence, a low moan, almost a whimper. Jonas turned slowly, his heart pounding like a war drum on the ground. Amid the pulsating shadows lay a body. He recognized the tattered clothes, the fallen rifle beside it, the vase of that face belonged to him. Jonas was staring at himself dead. Reality shattered in his mind like broken glass. The wolf's laughter echoed deep and reverberating as if mocking his disbelief. The glowing eyes multiplied, circling him like predators toying with their prey before the final blow. But then a new presence emerged from the darkness among the wolves. A figure rose, not an animal but a man. His eyes were empty, his skin pale as the moon, and his steps made no sound upon the earth. He approached Jonas, extended a cold hand, and murmured, "Ondisker, you found the wolf now. You are part of the pack, Ondisker." The forest swallowed Jonas's scream before it could escape. Since then, hunters and travelers report a new shadow wandering through Serra Negra. Its eyes burn like embers, its presence a silent warning. Because those who enter the forest Within ever leave alone. Ichi the mist hovered over Serra Negra Highs, like a veil separating the world of the living from the realm of those who had disappeared. The forest was no longer an ordinary place. Jonas knew that. But what he did not know was that reality itself bent around the shadow pack. He walked without realizing time was passing. Hunger had vanished. Thirst no longer troubled him. His steps followed a rhythm that was not his own. It was as if something ancient, something deeper guided his movements. The lead wolf walked beside him, its colossal presence absorbing all light, all sound. Jonas no longer felt fear. Suddenly the forest opened up. He stood before an ancient stone altar covered in moss and marked by symbols his mind could not decipher. The other wolves surrounded the place, their eyes burning like lanterns in the darkness. It was a ceremony, and Jonas was at its center. The lead wolf stared at him, its glowing eyes piercing his soul. Then, without warning, it let out a howl that thundered through the forest, and the land responded. The ground trembled, the trees bowed, and Jonas felt something inside him awaken. His skin burned. He fell to his knees. His vision blurred. The world spun around him. Memories of his old life, his friends, his home. His childhood dissolved like dust in the wind. When he rose again, his eyes burned as well. The pack greeted him with deep howls. Jonas no longer existed. The shadow wolf had a new member, and now when the wind howls through Serra Negra, Ephraim knows that night never belonged to humans.